अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी। I'm back with my next video। और आज की जो वीडियो है ये हम एक और डेवलपमेंट जो कि हमारे पड़ोस में हो रही है, इंडिया में ख़ास तौर पर, और शाखसाना है उसी एग्रीमेंट का जो कि मेमोरेंडम ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग अमेरिका और ईरान के बीच में जो साइन हुआ है, और उसके बाद जिसकी मुलाकात के आज अगली मुलाकात टेक्निकल मीटिंग जो है आज स्विट्ज़रलैंड में हो रही है। लेकिन जब से ये दस्तखत हुए हैं, जब से साइन हुआ है, there's been a bit of a schmozzle going on in India, in the strategic community, as well as the people who are sensitive to how things are developing in the region. And what is happening is the questions are being asked is that why is India not a part of a major evolution that is happening in Asia, especially Western Asia. So India, where has India lost out? Why is India isolated? Why India seems isolated if it's not isolated? Has India become irrelevant? That's the question being asked. And a lot of podcasts and a lot of discussions are taking place. I know people like Praveen Sani and Shekhar Gupta have addressed this in their podcasts. And so there are people talking about it, and possibly there's writings going on in the Indian media also on the subject. So we'll try and trace out from our perspective, from the perspective within Pakistan, from my perspective especially, as to why things are the way they seem in India at the moment, and where did India lose out, and why has India reached the point where it has. Now, there are a few things that actually happened in the last week or so. The Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, was still not signed, and the US naval blockade was still in place, when one Indian ship, possibly a tanker or a cargo ship, tried to run the blockade. Now that means entering from the Indian Ocean in towards there's the Straits of Hormuz. That is where the US Navy had blocked the way. So they wanted to run the blockade. That means running the blockade means कि वहाँ पे उसको तोड़ के आगे गुजरने की कोशिश कर रहे. Now you don't do that, especially once when the US Navy has declared that we will not permit, and they had not permitted any ship to cross that. But Indian ship or Indian shipmaster, whoever was in charge, captain there, decided to run the blockade. They will force their way through that blockade and make their way through to wherever they were intended to head. Of course, like the procedure was in place, initially they were warned, stopped. They did not listen to the US Navy, and as it happens or happened before, the US Navy warns them and therefore then fires a missile or whatever weapon that they use into the engine room, and the engine room and knocks out the ship. Among the 22 Indian crewmen that were there on the board, there were possibly could have been more, but there were at least 22 Indians, and of those, one got killed, two were missing, and perhaps the remaining became guests of the US Navy for the time that they were under their control. But the ship was blocked. It was a tanker, a big ship, or whatever, I'm not sure. But that is the first thing that happened, and it caused quite a bit of a turmoil within Delhi and within there. They called the Consul General in to complain about it, and so things went to Washington, of course. And Washington and Delhi seem to be on an opposing path on this particular subject. Soon after, in a couple of days' time, when President Trump visited Paris for a G7 meeting, and Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, happened to be also there as an invitee to the G7, though not a member of the G7, but as an invitee to the G7. And when they're doing their official photograph, which is always the tradition, President Trump very obviously seems to neglect or brush aside the presence of Narendra Modi. Does not even recognize that him or is being around, and they're just perhaps a couple of places separated from each other in the same line, which was very odd, and it was kind of a very clear repulsion of the whole thing, and President Trump made it obvious that he would not like to shake hands with Narendra Modi. It became a big story again. The very next day, what had become the United States Indo-Pacific Command, which is the command actually taken from the western borders of the US to the western borders of, in fact, the eastern borders of Africa and the westernmost borders of India is the geographical area. And in 2018, it had been named as the US Indo-Pacific Command. Earlier, it was called the US Pacific Command only. And this is, of course, when I talk about it, how India went through different paces in terms of the relationship with the US. I'll mention that again. But that got changed the very next day after Trump sort of rebuffed Narendra Modi's presence in Paris. And it came back to US Pacific Command. Again, a major message there, a major blow to the aspirations that India had held in terms of retaining a very solid, strong relationship with the United States. And based on that relationship, or following through on that relationship, then establishing their persona as a nation within this part of the world, and perhaps almost acting like a US ally, which it was called essentially a US ally at that time. So this is what really shook India up, these three consecutive events in the last 3-4 days. It's a fact that the very next day after this was done, Trump did meet Narendra Modi in a side meeting in Paris. And again, in that little press conference that was held, there were some strange things that came about. For example, Trump went ahead and said, the guy sitting next to me looks like an angel, but he's actually a killer. Now, this was, I think, a huge, the hugest possible and outright disrespect, many would call it. Perhaps to ask many Muslims in India, and they would agree to. And there's a history to that, of course. We know Narendra Modi has been called the butcher of Gujarat. That too is a fact. And it's also true that his visa was denied. He was rebuffed. The visa was rebuffed to the US. He was never permitted to visit the US as long as he was. And it's only when he became the prime minister that he began traveling back to the US. So based on his Gujarat record, he was not considered fit to be given a visa. The US had denied the visa, rejected the visa for him permanently. But that is exactly how things were developing, and he calls him a killer sitting there in front of the world press. And Narendra Modi Saab just went ahead, accepted it. Trump being Trump, that is how things happen. Now, why is that why is it so important? I'm going to talk a bit in Urdu now so that my Urdu listeners can also benefit from that. Lekin, ye kya wajah thi? Why was this that it became such a big issue in India? It's not only the relationship between India and the US. हो क्या रहा है हमारे इलाकों में? जहाँ पर ईरान का जब ये मसला हल होता है और वो ईरान और अमेरिका आपस में तल्लुकात को बेहतर करते हैं, तो उसके बाद क्या होता है? जब ये अमन आता है इस इलाके में, ईरान वापस मेन स्ट्रीम में आ जाता है, ईरान तेल बेच सकता है, ईरान अपने जो उसके फ्रोज़न एसेट्स हैं वो उसको मिल जाते हैं, वो अपने लैंड बॉर्डर्स जो हैं पाकिस्तान, तुर्की और बाकी ममालिक के साथ आसानी के साथ इस्तेमाल कर सकता है, वो खुल जाते हैं, उसके ऊपर कोई ममानियत नहीं है। तो अंदाज़ा लगाइए कि ईरान कितनी तेज़ी से और कितनी जल्दी से ऊपर आता है माशी तौर पर। उसके बाद फिर बाकी उसकी अपनी ज़ाहिर है, जब इतना पैसा आएगा, इतनी मईशत बढ़ेगी, तो फिर वो साथ ही साथ अपने आप को मजबूत भी कर पाएगा, माशी तौर पर भी अपने लोगों को भी फ़ायदा दे पाएगा और फिर अपनी मिलिट्री को रीबिल्ड करेगा। उन्होंने ख़ास तौर पर मिसाइल टेक्नोलॉजी, ड्रोन टेक्नोलॉजी में तो काफ़ी महारत हासिल कर ली थी, लेकिन साथ ही साथ वो अपनी जो बाकी उनकी ज़रूरियात हैं नेवी की, एयरफोर्स की, उनको भी फिर अपने दोस्त ममालिक के साथ, पाकिस्तान है, चीन है, इन लोगों के साथ मिल के कर सकते हैं। तो ये अब एक ईरान का ऊपर आना और एक ऐसे वक्त में जबकि हिंदुस्तान इस सारे मामले से दूर रहा है, उसके तल्लुकात ईरान के साथ भी बहुत अच्छे थे और उनका तो एलाई था अमेरिका का, और इतने फ़ायदे लेने के बाद ईरान से वो बिल्कुल खामोश रहा, आज तक उसने बात नहीं की किसी के साथ। और पाकिस्तान जो कि एक मुश्किल सिचुएशन में था जोग्राफिकली, वो बढ़ के एक जिम्मेदारी उठाता है और इस सारे मामले को अमेरिका और ईरान के साथ मिल के हल करता है। तो ऑब्वियसली सो दिस इज़ अ क्लियर कंट्रास्ट, दिस इन स्टार्क कंट्रास्ट टू ईच अदर। दो नेशंस हैं, एक का जो है अमल आपके सामने है, दैट इज़ हाउ दे आर एक्टिंग, एंड देयर इज़ अ country like Pakistan which has got its own difficulties inside and outside both, in a very difficult geographic location, and India considers it an enemy, and the two have gone to war just a year before. So when you look at Pakistan, stepping up to the responsibility and then pulling it through and carrying it through and then making it happen, I think it's a huge blow to Indian aspirations. And people begin to question, what about India? What about the shining India? What about the leader of the global south? What about Jaishankar's claims the world over that India is the next big thing in the world? India is definitely, it has its own place in the committee. And of course, in economic terms, it's done really well. And I'll talk about it slightly as we go along and talk about other things in this video. But somehow that India seems to have been left by the side. That India is asking itself today, are we irrelevant? Or are we simply isolated? That's the question. So whatever they were trying to impose upon Pakistan, in terms of ever since Mr. Jaishankar had become the foreign minister, and before that the foreign secretary, as he's been part of the BJP system for a very, very long time. He became the minister in 2019 or something. And ever since he's been now trying to make Pakistan isolated and taking this message to the world. वो isolated Pakistan is now sitting in the middle today. आज मीटिंग्स हो रही हैं स्विट्जरलैंड में और वो बैठा वहाँ पे पाकिस्तान मीडिएट कर रहा है. अमेरिका और ईरान के बीच में दो ऐसे एनिमीज जो कि एक दूसरे को देखने के लिए भी तैयार नहीं थे, उनके बीच में बैठा मीडिएशन करवा रहा है. तो पाकिस्तान की बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट और बहुत कलीदी किस्म की एक जैसे कहते हैं कि स्टेप फॉरवर्ड करके अपने आप को उस जगह पे लेके जाना. और ये यूरेशिया का जो एक देखिए 1900 कब था, 1904 में गालिबन मैकेंडर एक थ्योरिस्ट था, उसने ये फिलॉसफी दी थी. उसने कहा कि यूरेशियन लैंडमास जो है, जिसका कंट्रोल यूरेशियन लैंडमास पे है वही दुनिया के ऊपर काबिज होगा. अब यूरेशियन लैंडमास क्या है? यूरोप है और एशिया. अब जहाँ पे ये बीच में दरिया नहीं आती, आपस में ये कनेक्टिविटी है. ये यूरेशियन लैंडमास जो है ये क्या है? आज की दुनिया में आप देखें तुर्की, ईरान, पाकिस्तान, और उसके बाद पाकिस्तान तो एशिया में बिल्कुल सॉलिड एशिया में, उसके बाद जो दरमियान वाले इलाके हैं आप ले लीजिए, उसके बाद ईरान है, उसके बाद तुर्की है, कजाकिस्तान है, रूस है. ये ममालिक हैं जिन्होंने इन दोनों मुल्कों को जोड़ा हुआ है विदाउट एनी ब्रेक ऑफ वाटर्स इन बिटवीन. देयर आर नो सीज दैट सेपरेट अस. So this Eurasian bloc has 70% of world's population and has the biggest reserves, the largest जो reserves, energy reserves दुनिया के सारे यहाँ पे, minerals यहाँ पे हैं. ये एक ऐसा बोल है जो कि नॉर्थ टू साउथ आता है और फिर ईस्ट टू वेस्ट है, ये सब का सब. और फिर यहाँ रास्ते हैं, कनेक्टिविटी है. यहाँ पे आपको कोई जहाज़ों की ट्रेन्स, वो बहरी जहाज़ों का समंदरों को पाटना नहीं पड़ता, बल्कि आप यू आर ऑलरेडी कनेक्टेड. दिस इज ऑल लैंडेड connectivity that is there, which exists. So Eurasia is the new center of the world. It has always been, but now time has proven. And you see how Iran is coming up, how Turkey, Iran, Pakistan, and then of course you have the Gulf countries below that. They're all sort of developing as the storehouses of the future of future economies of this world. The precious metal, the rare earth metals, and Afghanistan or Pakistan, or for that matter anywhere else. Within the distillates of the processing and the refinement of oil and energy and the Gulf countries, all that whatever helps make chips, whatever helps make microprocessors. So imagine how this entire area is playing out. Russia has got the biggest oil reserves that it exports heavily. It's one of the top 3 in the world, including the USA, of course. But USA is isolated; it's one corner. Europeans can't benefit from that. So that importance of Eurasian landmass is becoming more and more evident. So wherever India felt at one time that we don't want to have anything to do with Pakistan, because basically they wanted to isolate Pakistan. So they created a condition in 2019, for example, where it was false flag attack on the Indian soldiers. 40 of them were killed, and they attacked Balakot, saying this was a revenge attack against Pakistan. And since that time, and since Jaishankar took over, he's taken this message across the world saying Pakistan aids or abets terrorism, which is entirely wrong. Today, India does exactly that. And that is why President Trump said that here sits a man who looks like an angel but is actually a killer. So, there is a lot that India needs to do. It does not mean that everybody in India is like that. Let me be very clear. Indians are very smart people. I've interacted with them. I have worked with them. Of course, I've looked at them as an enemy, as an adversary for a very long time, all my PF, Air Force career. I've done that, and I prepared against them, and I prepared my boys against that. But that's one side of the story. 2008, after I had left Sri Lanka as the ambassador and come back to Pakistan, I became a part of the Track 2s. Track 2s were trying to build the confidence again in the aftermath of the Mumbai attacks in 2008. So we were trying, and we did. I was a part of many processes for those next 8 to 9 years till 2016 came, and we realized that this group of Indians, which was 2014 and later, 2014, Narendra Modi Saab came to power, and he developed his own team. And of course, he had to BJP and RSS sponsored, and that's the time, to 2014 to 2016. We must have been through maybe 3 to 4 Track 2s every year, 3 to 4 at one time, 3 to 4 another time, and say about 7 to 8 iterations later, there was a huge amount of arrogance that came into the Indian. And even before that, even when Congress was in power, they started to say that, our future is linked to the East. That's why they became part of the Quad. Australia, Japan, USA, and India. That became the Quad, and therefore their focus is the Pacific Ocean. They are now the US Indo-Pac-Com. They are now looking at the blue waters of Indian Ocean. That's their backyard, and therefore they are in a different league. They think they begin to different. While talking to us in the Track 2s, they would say, we don't have much to do, because you see what had happened was that these Track 2s from 2008 or whenever I joined them till about 2014, we had made significant progress on at least 2 issues between India and Pakistan: Siachen and Sir Creek. I mean, they were ready, prepared solutions lying with us. And similarly with the Indians, and both sides had agreed, and they took it back to South Bloc, they took it back to the government. Similarly, we of course were in contact with our governments, and we all agreed that this is the way forward. There was a talk of the peace park, Siachen becoming a peace park. This was the idea of Manmohan Singh Saab, who was the Prime Minister of India at that time, and all was agreed. What came in as a hurdle at that time, stumbling block at the time, was the reaction of the Indian Army. And the army said, we're going to give up Siachen. Why would we give up Siachen? And so whatever was ready and prepared at that time in 2014, unfortunately fell flat because of the recalcitrance and the intransigence of the Indian military, Indian Army. Otherwise, the politicians, the South Bloc, Indian South Bloc, Pakistani governments, Pakistani military, as well as the Pakistani Foreign Office were all ready to settle down and make it far more formal. I mean, we were talking Track 2s, in fact, Track 1.5. We had Indian ministers come, and Indian members of parliament come and be a part of those Track 2s, just as we would carry members of parliament from our side into those Track 2s. So it was more or less 1.5, and we were reaching those solutions. And we had senior military commanders on both sides, senior diplomats, of course retired now. But what I'm saying is that we reached that point. And then came the fact, we have nothing to do. We are the ASEAN. We want to relate with ASEAN. We are the East. That is our future. And so what happens is that today, when Eurasia, the West Asia rises without a doubt. It is the new entity. It is where the new things are going to happen. This is where the new crux of the strength will come about. This is where the new economies are going to be based around. This is where the new Asia is coming up. Suddenly, India feels left out. India created that wall between India and Pakistan. They said our border is now a wall. You fenced it, you lighted it up. You wanted to make sure no trade, no communication, no high commissioners, no ambassadors. Just mere staff within the embassies. So India chose to do that. And so whatever happened, and last year after the war, things changed entirely. They felt we have isolated Pakistan to an extent that now if we were to attack Pakistan as they did in the May of last year, 2025, they got a response back. Here was a country ready for it. Here was a country ready to respond back. Here was a country which could actually hold them off, this was a country which could actually tell them what to do. The Americans have helped India tremendously, and I can go back to 2005 when initially they were offered the 123 agreement, nuclear agreement. According to the Department of Energy, US Department of Energy, which would permit them to access the nuclear suppliers group. They will be permitted to separate their reactors. They will be permitted to have dual technology. I mean, this is exactly, they were handed over in a plate everything that any country in this world could ask for, despite being a non-signatory of the NPT. Ye 1 to 3, when this 1 to 3 was handed over in 2007, 2008 to India, India thought that's it. They went into a different league. The US was there, was entirely there. And why was the US doing that? US wanted, because you see what happened was 1998 onwards, the Al-Qaeda really had come up in Africa first, and then that is from where everything started. And then from Africa, as the Al-Qaeda moved into Afghanistan, of course, was pushed out of Africa, came into Afghanistan, settled in Afghanistan, and then, so the Americans felt that this is what they want to do. 2001, before that, 9/11 happens. 2001, they come into Afghanistan, they go into Iraq in 2003, because now they are after Al-Qaeda. Now they are after the wars, which is called the war against terrorism, global war on terror, GWOT, if you remember. So when they want to do that, they want to hand over the responsibility, take care of China. China is coming up very fast. And so now they burgeon India. They give it what it needs, Philips. And what is it they ask for? Anything. They ask for C-5s, the C-141s. They ask for the Apache helicopters. They got the Rafales. So they got the entire Western bloc behind India. And also the fact that 1989, when the Soviet Union collapsed, there was this entire change of orientation. Not only the Indians changed their way of working in terms of their economy, because they've really gained very much on that front. That reforms that started to occur in 1991. I mean, currently they are the 4th largest foreign exchange reserves in the world, the Indians. They are the 5th largest economy in the world. So why does a nation like this feel so left out? Why does a nation of this kind of prosperity in a very short time, in about 3 decades or so, feel that they've lost it? It is because of poor policy choices that I think India made, poor understanding of the fact that you will be recognized only if you are accepted within the region. But when you cut yourself off and you want to look east only, and you don't want to look west because Pakistan happens to be there, well, what happens in the west is now no more in your access. Central Asia, Middle East, Western Asia, which is Pakistan, Iran, Turkey, and the rest of the Arab world, and of course the Central Asian states, and then Russia connected with Europe. Well, that is what the new world is like. And my dear friends in India, deal with it. I mean, you made wrong choices. I don't want to comment personally on Jaishankar Sahib, who I think is a very smart person. I really listened to him and watched him speak at various conferences and forums in the world. And I felt he really had something in him. But unfortunately, he was so, taken in by a tangent of the BJP's hidden agenda or the RSS agenda, and trying to isolate Pakistan, so hooked on to Pakistan. He could not break himself. Well, it may have unshackled, India may have unshackled itself economically in a certain ways, although I think they've lost out there as well, because Pakistan, India, Iran would have made that tremendous center of gravity for the entire growth of the economy. China, of course, coming from top. The BRI, how the connectivity actually shapes up this entire region. So India lost out for hate. Hate of whom? I better not say that, because that exactly is what is happening inside India. Hate for whom? I would say for Pakistan, that resides within the leadership, unfortunately, that wrong policy choices. You thought you could do without this. No, not today, my dear sir. Not today. And you, of course, you have a problem with China, and China is close to Pakistan. So when Mr. Praveen Sani says that the coming decades will be governed by China and Pakistan in Asia, and India seems to become irrelevant and possibly lost out and possibly isolated, he has much more than a grain of truth in that. I don't know, for a long time now. I mean, now I hear voices saying India must speak to Pakistan, India must talk to Pakistan. Perhaps nothing much is lost. When you went to replace SAARC with ASEAN, two parallel blocks, and you gave up ASEAN to actually hook on to ASEAN, though you never became a formal member, or possibly you are, I'm not sure of that. But surely you developed a Quad and all that stuff and security. And well, you've done well economically, but I think in terms of strategic choices, you really bungled up. There is a wrong decision to make. You would have been the eminent voice in South Asia. Pakistan would have had its own troubles. It would have still struggled to move on as fast as you were. But you lost that opportunity. And when you're not recognized at home, you're not recognized anywhere in the world. So if India wants to know what's happened to it, why is it isolated, why is it irrelevant, or it seems irrelevant, well, it's still not irrelevant, still a huge market. But this is how the perceptions are formed. This is how you begin to worry about it. This is how it comes to eat you up from the inside. And then you say, did we do it wrong? My conclusion, yes, sir, you did it wrong. And that is why you feel what you're feeling today. Thank you very much. I hope we can sort things out and move on in much better times, in a more friendlier environment, where we stop seeing each other as enemies and begin to learn to coexist and then subsequently co-function. Thank you very much.